So greetings again, ladies and gentlemen. I am Richard Taylor. I'm here with a follow-up to a video I did yesterday concerning the principal of Spring Creek High School here in Wayne County, Mrs. Wendy H. Waters, and a Facebook post that was sent to me by a concerned citizen. This citizen thought that the post was racist and ignorant and full of hate. Therefore, I shared the post and did a video breaking the post down and how it may have been offensive to some. Now, if you want to, you can go back and watch that video on the YouTube channel or on the Goldsboro What's Up page or on my Facebook page. Nevertheless, a lot of people chimed in. I would have to say that most people agreed with the concerned citizen that the post was out of line. However, there was a few who defended Ms. Waters. And nevertheless, this morning I woke up to a message, a couple of messages by Mrs. Wendy H. Waters herself. Now, I must admit, the exchange was very pleasant. She seemed like a wonderful lady. I had a great time interacting with her. But there were some things in her response that, kind of disturbed me and gave off an air of callousness. Now, I'm going to read that response to you, and I'm going to break it down. But I'm also going to break down the original post again, because some people have stated that the post was taken out of context. But I'm going to review that post to point out some things that would be or should be considered out of line, especially for a public official and a principal of a public high school. Now, I'm going to show you this. I'm not going to post the complete text, but there you see this message is from Miss Waters. So I'm going to read this. And once again, I wish Miss Waters no ill fate in this matter. But, once again, I report the concerns of a citizen, and this citizen would not report on the situation because of her profession and, the dangers of her losing her employment. So I chose to be the voice of, the voiceless as my company's motto suggests. But I'm going to read this response. 6:42 a.m., Miss Waters said, "My child is at UNC and was scared. You left out the picture of Fox News calling this guy, who's not even an American citizen, a mostly white Asian in your commentary. Can you explain to me how someone is a mostly white Asian? Is that truthful to Americans? Just like if they reported the shooters in Jacksonville were mostly non-racist, which would be another obvious misrepresentation." Now, I'm going to stop right here because the original post had her holding up the picture of the shooter at UNC, which was an Asian guy, and the caption that was not displayed in her post read "mostly white Asian." Now, her reasoning for using the verbiage that he is not white was in response to that "mostly white Asian" caption. Nevertheless, if you study the history of Asians these days, most of them claim white or Caucasian on their census, on their applications, on their identification. Why? Because they want the benefits of whiteness in this country. But we're going, that's a whole nother rabbit hole. I'm going to continue. Second paragraph says, "So you want to ruin my 25-year career in a field I love and am passionate about over a Facebook post you have taken out of context by now sharing the whole context of the post that has nothing to do with the horrific and disgusting shooting in Jacksonville or the Christian school in Colorado, etc., etc. I am an educator, but I'm also a mom. Am I supposed to not express my opinion when a tragic event affects my child and her orbit?" Now, I agree. Yeah, definitely you have a right to your opinion. And first of all, let me state that I'm not trying to ruin your career. I'm just once again reporting on a situation that the community, and as you see, felt that your post was, out of line. Nevertheless, I understand you being concerned for your daughter, but once again, when you're in the public eye, everything that you say can and will be scrutinized to some extent. So I just want you to be mindful of that. And the third paragraph says, well, okay, I guess that is what you're saying, which I'm not. Just so you know, you have lost an ally and a person who only wants to teach truth and find truth. And calling this non-American, mostly white Asian, is not truth. But I guess I'm not allowed to point out that blatant lie. Now, you're definitely allowed to point out that lie, but the other context of the post is once again most disturbing. Now, I'm going to read that post again just to let you guys know and see what I'm talking about. She goes on to say, you'll see no more posts from me fighting for truth and what is right. Trust me. And I guess if my child is subject to violence again, I don't have the right to express any emotions over it. Take care, and I wish you great success. Then she goes on to show the original post where the Fox News article suggests that the shooter is described as mostly white Asian male. Then she says, this is the Fox News screenshot I was referring to. Just please represent my words of anger truthfully and in context, which my friends on Facebook know. Now, once again, the exchange is pleasant. I commend her for, addressing me in a very pleasant manner. And I'm going to read my response. I responded, I only posted it because of a concerned parent of a child at your school was offended by it. Now, if one person could be, so could be many others, right? I don't want to ruin your career. I just want you to be mindful of how your comments, opinions, etc. were considered offensive and even racist to some. Everyone who read that post didn't have that particular context. At least that parent didn't. Even myself, I had scarcely even heard about the UNC situation. So to someone who hadn't heard about it and reads this, it would look like you're on a racist, stereotypical laden tirade against this guy. Does that make sense? And everyone doesn't know you personally, but someone was offended by your post. That was my point, and they asked me to bring it to light. And, just let me expound. If once again, if no one knows about the Asian shooter, like myself, I barely watch the news because I hate to be propagated to. Nevertheless, if I hadn't known anything, I had to guess, is this the shooter that they were talking about? So I had to guess. I kind of put two and two together. But if a layman, if someone read that post, that would look like this lady is on a blatant tirade, anti-Asian, Chinese campaign against that guy. And once again, there is no context to the post because she didn't post the part that says he is described as mostly white. But I'm going to continue. And this is the part of her response that once again leads me to say that she feels like she's done nothing wrong. There's a callousness, there's a coarseness in her response. When I mentioned, okay, someone was offended by your post, her response is, okay, well, I was offended by the Fox News post and only wanted to bring it to light as well. But once again, I see I'm not allowed to be offended, even when my family is affected. And I think they're supposed to be affected, but, that's neither here nor there as well. And now people are calling for me to be fired and want to protect the rights of a non-citizens over my rights. Once again, the message is clear. And maybe if you reported the whole context of the story, they would see it differently. But once again, I will practice my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent from here on out. Once again, I wish you great success. And I read my response. I wish you great success as well. But once again, I've clearly gave you evidence of people that are offended by your words, and you've shown no contrition, no respite, no remorse, no reconsideration on your part, just in, oh well, I was offended too. And I ended it with that attitude right there speaks volumes, Miss Waters. And that's where our conversation ended. And considering her response, and as I mentioned, in my response to her, there was no contrition. There was no, well, oh, okay, well, I didn't see how they could see it that way. Or, I apologize if someone saw it that way. But none of that. There was, oh, okay, I have a right to voice my opinion no matter who is offended. And if you go back and read the comments on the first video from the What's Up Goldsboro page, or even the Taylor House Publishing YouTube page, you'll see several people commenting on, that this is out of line, this is out of order, this should not be said, especially by a principal. And so that is my reasoning for posting the caption is, Miss Waters defend her post. She defends it to, here's another comment on it. She needs to be fired ASAP. So it's definitely something that people deem offensive. And for her to show no contrition, no remorse, no apologetic nature speaks volumes. And just to break this post down and to give you the magnitude of her statements, because I didn't notice this yesterday, but I'm going to reread this post, and you can go back and reread once again the post because it's online. But it says what? He only came to our country, and of course we all know what that connotates or denotes, from the University of Wuhan. Now this sentence right here is very telling. She says, my bet is he's a Chinese nationalist as a quote unquote visiting student, stealing our intellectual property, working for the CCP. Now, let's stop right there, because this man is clearly Asian, but he's also clearly a violent man. He had some issues, I think, with the professor. I think it was a personal situation. But here's this principle is categorizing him as a quote-unquote visiting student, stealing our intellectual property, working for the CCP. Now, let me ask you, are all Chinese students or Asian students here trying to steal our intellectual property and working for the CCP? Is that what we are to think? Right? But that's exactly what this statement portrays. That we should be suspicious of all Asians who are visiting students and their main goal is to come over here and steal our intellectual property. And the most important question to ask yourself, are there any Asians at her school? And are those agents here working for the CCP and only there to steal our intellectual property? How are the Asian students going to feel when they see this? Now, the last statement in this, because we know about there is nothing white about him, and since this is now at my front door, I would not let them get away with their gaslighting BS. Who is them? I guess that's Fox News or whatever. But the last statement in all capital letters, she says, we need to decouple from people who hate us. Decouple from people who hate us. Now, people, because who else are you're talking about except this Asian man right here? People. So are you categorizing all Asians as people who hate us? Because you didn't say this person, this one lone person who committed a singular act. I could understand if you said that this person who hates us. But you said these people who hate us. Who are these people? Sort of like when a white person is talking to a black person and they say you people. We all know what that connotates, right? So she says we need to decouple from people who hate us. And once again, who are you talking about? Are you saying that all Asians hate us? And who is us? I guess that's white people or Americans. I dare not say that. Of course, there are some Asians, there are some blacks, there are some, there's some people of every nationality and race who exhibit hatred. But it's totally irresponsible to categorize every Asian in that category. Because once again, I'm pretty sure you have Asian students at Spring Creek. They're going to look at this and say, okay, she thinks all Asians hate you. Which is not the case. You take one lone incident from one madman and categorize every Asian. You said visiting students. There are a lot of Asian visiting students. Are we to ascertain that every visiting Asian student is out to steal our intellectual property and working for the CCP? That's a very dangerous narrative, especially with the quote-unquote Asian hate and the upsurge in Asian violence that has been propagated, within the past years. So that's where Miss Waters, that is where I guess the outrage, the calling for your being fired, which I don't, I don't, have any dog in that fight. That's beyond my pay grade. But that is where that outrage comes from. Is when you make an insensitive statement like this, and in your response to me and the video, there was no contrition. There was no wow. I didn't know that many people were offended. Let me apologize. No, there's none of that. There's this entitlement to say, okay, I was angered and my daughter, along with many other people, were affected, and I have a right to spew this rhetoric in my anger, no matter who it offends. That is the problem, Miss Waters, and those who wish to defend this type of diatribe. So, I think this is it. This is going to be my last video about this subject because, of course, we know in Goldsboro the chickens are coming home to roost, and I say that in regards to the sheriff and the police department who are undergoing their own investigation and several arrests. So I definitely have to cover that. But I definitely want to let the public know about her responses to the video, to the comments, and to people's outrage. Once again, a concerned citizen sent me this, and she felt that the diatribe was racist, ignorant, and full of hate. And with me breaking that down to it, I hope that the public can see how, if it was not full of hate, it could be perceived in that manner. Your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Please let me know. And if anybody wants to address me personally or any questions, you can call me direct. My number is 919-587-7782. Y'all have a blessed evening. Peace and blessings.